Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 9 NFL DraftKings main slate. Let's dive right into it. Hey, like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of my cheat sheet, breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays here for Week 9, but as always, everyone, just want to mention, I am running that free Discord channel. You can see that mentioned above. Over 800 people in there now, talking multiple different sports for DFS, as well as some of their favorite sports bets. So if you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below, as well as in the pinned comment below. And actually, everyone, while you're down there, you're also going to be able to find my DraftKings user or YouTube subscriber league. If you want to join that, that is completely free too. Let me just give you a little overview here of what that's going to look like. We got 141 members in there. I run a $5 contest every week, allowing just the YouTube subs to play against one another. So again, if you want to join that, there's a link to do so in the description below, and you can also find that on my Discord channel if you want to join. With that being said, let's dive into the cheat sheet here. We're going to kick it off at the quarterback position now. I think there's two guys that we can spend up for. It's either Jalen Hurts or Jaden Daniels this week. We know what Jaden Daniels has brought to us all year long. He's been super consistent, brings that rushing upside that we love, and he's just one of those cash game guys that has such a safe floor that we can play him more weeks than not. But I lean towards Jalen Hurts here in this matchup at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and they're really bad in that secondary. So even if Hurts kind of beats them through the air, I have no problem with that. Sure, he's expensive at $7,800, but 24 DraftKings points at 3x value, very capable of getting there. And again, I just really like this spot here against this Jags defense. If we do want to spend down here this week, I think there's a case to be made to play Jameis Winston. Now, it is a tougher matchup against that Chargers defense, but we could have said that last week against Baltimore too, and Winston went absolutely off. At this price here, we need about 16 DraftKings points for him to meet 3x value, and again, I think he can get us there. But let's go down to these honorable mentions. Talked about Jaden Daniels. We know how consistent he's been all year long, but Gardner Minshew, it's just the price here at $4,500. Again, if we're shooting for 3x value, that's under 15 DraftKings points. Can he get us there? I think he can against this Cincinnati defense. That secondary is just not very good for the Bengals, and again, that price is just hard to beat on DraftKings. It's very rare we're going to get a starting quarterback at this price here. So $4,500, I've played around with some cash lineups with him in there, and it does open up a lot throughout the rest of your lineup. Now, moving on to the running backs here, and there were a lot of high-priced guys at this position that I could have made a case for to play in our cash lineup. Saquon Barkley, we could absolutely play him against that Jags defense. We saw what Josh Jacobs of the Green Bay Packers did to them just last week. We know he's going to get a lot of rushing attempts, also involved in the passing game, but you kind of got to pick between him and Jalen Hurts, and for me, I lean towards Hurts in this matchup, considering how bad that secondary is for the Jags. You can also make a case here for Kyren Williams. You can see I got him listed as an honorable mention. We know how well-rounded he is when it comes to fantasy scoring, but Alvin Kamara is my favorite high-price running back play this week. So involved in this offense, not only in the running game, but heavily involved in the passing game, and such a smash matchup here against this Carolina run defense. Plus, Derek Carr is expected to be back, and that's just a boost to the Saints offense as a whole. Devon Achane, I just think he's still too cheap here in the 6K range, could easily be priced in the mid 7K range. Not as involved as most high-priced running backs in the running game, but his involvement in the passing game, especially with Tua under center, is truly elite, and this Buffalo Bills run defense has been very susceptible at times this year. And then James Conner at $6,600, I like this price. That Bears secondary is very good, but if there's one spot that they can be beat, it's through the running game, and Connor's one of those guys. It doesn't matter how the Arizona Cardinals are playing, he's going to be involved in the running game and the passing game. But on the other side of that game, you could also go to DeAndre Swift. Very similar role to James Conner. It really doesn't matter if the Bears are winning or losing, he's going to be involved. I love his rushing attempts as of late, and I like his involvement in the passing game. We didn't see it last week necessarily, but the few weeks prior to that, he was heavily involved. Now, folks, before we dive into some of these wide receiver plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. You guys have truly been awesome so far this year, liking the videos, commenting on them, as well as subscribing to the channel. But if you haven't done that yet, it's completely free to do so, and it really does help me out. All right, now diving into these wide receivers here, and there were a lot of high-priced elite options on this slate at this position too. I could have put in Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown here as well, but ultimately landed on CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase. Now, we're going to have to pick between one of these two guys, right? nearly impossible to get both in your cash lineup unless you, for some reason, can spend down at the running back position. I've made a few different mock cash lineups so far this week, and that just hasn't been the case, so I'll pick between one of these two guys. Now, it looks like T. Higgins is doubtful for Sunday. That gives a major boost to Jamar Chase, in my opinion, in a good matchup against the Raiders, but I like CeeDee Lamb a lot here too. 17 targets last week, in a good spot here against the Atlanta Falcons. I don't want to call this a must-win game for the Cowboys, but boy, is it close. So I kind of lean towards Lamb here, but if you need that $200 in savings, which can be huge when it comes to building DraftKings lineups, I'm absolutely okay with Jamar Chase. I think that Jacoby Myers is offering some really nice value here at $5,300, wide receiver number 1 in this Raiders offense. You could do a little stack there with Gardner Minshew if you wanted to. It's very, very affordable. We need about 15.9 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. And again, that Cincinnati secondary has just not been great this year, so I think he can get us there. And then Cedric Tillman, what more do I need to say? The last 2 weeks, he's been absolutely dominant. Sure, his price went up $1,000 this week, but still too cheap in my opinion. Based off his last 2 performances, he could easily be priced in the 5K range. And then I want to highlight 2 other guys here. Drake London remains a cash game play. Sure, he wasn't fantastic last week, but go look at the targets and volume this guy's been getting all year long, plus his usage in the red zone. I like him at this price here at $6,700, especially in that matchup against Dallas. And then Parker Washington here, the Jacksonville Jaguars, is a cheaper punt option at $3,600. He should be in play this week, considering that Christian Kirk was put on the IR. And then I got a couple of tight ends for you, and I just don't foresee myself spending up at this position when it comes to my cash lineup. I want to spend up at the running back position. I want to get one of those high-priced wide receivers in there as well. That means I'm going to need to find some value majorly at one of these positions, and that's usually the tight end position. So with T. Higgins doubtful here this Sunday, I do like Mike Gesicki of the Cincinnati Bengals, but Will Dissly is also in play here at $3,100. I like the targets he's been receiving over the past few weeks. And then when it comes to the defenses, if you have the money to spend up this week, I like the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars at home. This Philly defense has been slowly getting better each and every week, but again, more so just due to the matchup here against this Jags offense. And then the New York Giants, I don't mind them here at $2,300. I know Jaden Daniels and this Commanders team is legit this year, but this Giants defense isn't bad. That defensive line is really good, and at $2,300, I think they're just a little mispriced here, so I'll take advantage of that. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks, and let's win some money on this Week 9 NFL main slate.